Now their prey have really sensitive hearing, so it's super important that these guys stay nice and quiet when they fly to not alert their prey. Now by flying nice and low to the ground, these birds reduce the need to flap their wings as much, and so they don't make as much of a noise, and also they don't cast as large of a shadow, so their prey can't see or hear them coming. Now as he goes up here on the field, I also want you guys to notice some of those key facial features that he has, like that round face, which is due to a facial disc, as well as his absolutely gorgeous black eyes. Now these eyes are a great indication that this species of owl is nocturnal, and a lot of people do think that all owl species are nocturnal, but this simply is not the case. We do also have crepuscular owls, which hunt at the dawn and dusk portions of the day, as well as diurnal owls, which hunt at the brightest portion of the day. Now these owls, their eyes are super cool. They actually jut into the back of their skull, and they're held in place by structures called sclerotic rings. And these structures actually make it so that owls aren't able to move their eyes independently of their head, which is why they need that wide degree of rotation with their head. Now a lot of people do think that all owls can turn their heads a full 360 degrees around, but this simply is not the case of bald eagles. Now we can admire that beautiful white tail and iconic bald head as he was flying out there for us today. And they don't actually get this coloration until they're about 4 to 5 years old, where the juveniles stay a more muddled brown color. Now Granger here is going to show us just how good of a fisher he is. Our trainer is going to place a fish lure on top of this pond, and let's see if he can skim it right off the surface. And he's got it. Let's give him a big round of applause for that, everyone. Now these eagles are found here in Ontario, and chances are if you were to see them, they'd be hanging around bodies of water because they absolutely love to eat fish. And they actually have a specialized scaling on the bottom of their feet, which is similar to sandpaper, and it lets these guys hold on to those super slippery fish. Now many of you may not be familiar with the quite unfortunate past that these eagles have had. In the 1960s and the 70s, there was a pesticide introduced into our environment called DDT. And while it didn't directly harm these birds, what it did do was inhibit their ability to uptake calcium. Now, as we all know, calcium is really important for you and I for keeping nice and strong bones, but for birds, it's really important for producing strong eggshells. Now, this lack of calcium meant these eagles were producing very thin and very brittle eggs, and they were actually so thin that when they went to go incubate their eggs, they'd end up crushing them underneath their weight. Now, with no new babies to replace the older and dying generations, these eagles did see quite a large decline in their population sizes. But thankfully, scientists realized that DDT is a bit of a goofball. She's a pretty talkative bird, but the first thing you might notice about her is she is quite the tripping hazard. Now, this bird is super comfortable on the ground, but not to worry, this is totally normal, as these birds are found on the Falkland Islands, which are just off the coast of South America. And on these islands, there are no native predators, trees, or even shrubs, so these birds have actually adapted an on-the-ground lifestyle with a higher body mass. Now they're also incredibly resourceful, as Johnny here is going to show us by figuring out this little puzzle we have for her on the field. And they have actually been seen to flip over flower pots and rocks on the Falkland Islands as well. Now these striated caracaras are actually the most intelligent raptor species, and they are so smart that they learned that if they team up together, they're able to take down prey as large as sheep, which is very fast when they're flying, as you can see. So you may be wondering, why are we doing a race? Well, these guys are actually scavengers, and they have flat feet, which makes them really good at moving around on the ground, and we're going to show you guys. Now volunteers, I know there is a lot of us, but if we could all just shift way down over and try and make a line in front of that second stone wall for me, please. Alright, now I do have a few rules for you guys, so super important we are all listening. The most important rule is you guys have to stay on the left side of me, okay? So I'm going to be standing here. Make sure you guys run on this side of the field. Now you guys are going to be running back to the gate that we just let you in at, and just make sure you run as fast as you can without tripping. And if you do happen to trip, you want to get up pretty quickly, because these birds do like to eat things that look dead. Alright, audience, do we have any support for our brave volunteers? Alright, awesome, and how about for our vultures? Alright, I'm going to need you guys to cheer as loud as you can for your team. Volunteers, are you guys ready? Alright, in 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, it looks like we have some pretty speedy volunteers over here. The vultures, they were cheating a bit, they were using their wings, but they didn't stand a chance. Our volunteers were way too fast. Let's give them a huge round of applause, everyone. Now, great job, our peregrine falcons. Now, while Bobby is not going to be going quite that fast for us today, he is hopefully going to be showing off some of that speed in a demonstrated aerial hunt. Now, our trainer has a winged lure that she's going to be swinging around, aiming to mimic some of Bobby's fast-moving aerial prey. Now, right now, we can see him kind of going all over the place. He's taking some circles, going behind some buildings, and over some of the stands. But this is actually a totally normal part of the hunt, and it's called waiting on. Now, these falcons do this for a few reasons: to get a feel for the wind and the air conditions, also to warm up those flight muscles of theirs, but also as a confusion mechanism, so that his prey, or our trainer in this case, doesn't know what angle Bobby is coming from or that she's being hunted. Let's see if Bobby can make this catch. And he's got it. Let's give him a huge round of applause for that, everyone. Now, these falcons are very skilled hunters, and oftentimes they are able to grab their prey right out of the air, as we saw with Bobby here. But as I also said, they can go incredibly fast, and sometimes they're going a bit too fast to grab their prey out of the air. So what they'll actually do then is they'll ball up their feet and they'll punch their prey. Now, usually they're going fast enough to kill it right on impact, but if that's not the case, these falcons also have a specialized adaptation called the tomial tooth, which is a little groove on their beak, and it lets these birds crack open the vertebrae of their prey so they can enjoy their meal that way. Now, these birds also have specialized striping underneath their eyes, which are similar to the stripes you may see under a cheetah's eyes or even under your favorite football player's eyes. Now, they're called mallard stripes, and they help the bird deal with the brightness of the sun and actually allow these falcons to chase their prey directly into the sun, effectively blinding their prey and letting them get a nice meal out of it that way. Now, here at African Lion Safari, we do take part in several conservation programs and projects, but one that is very near and dear to our heart is for a small predatory songbird called the eastern loggerhead shrike. Now, these are one of Ontario's most endangered songbirds, and they're super cool because they lack that strong foot that other raptors have. So in order to enjoy their food, they've been seen to actually impale their prey on sharp items like barbed wire. Now, thanks to you guys coming out and supporting us, this program has been able to collectively release over 1,000 shrikes into Ontario's wilderness. So now, just a reminder, everybody, that in about 10 to 15 minutes, there is going to be another presentation. So if you guys just exit out this stadium and head down to your left, past the waterfall is where you'll find the Little Ray's Reptile Show.